If you're watching this video, it's because you want to know stuff. Specifically, you want to know how to set up proxies for video editing. That's cool. Alright, quick disclaimer. I don't know everything, but what I'm about to show you really works well for me, my workflow, my footage, and to give you reference, I normally shoot in either 1080 at 24 and 60 frames per second, or 4K in 24 or 30 frames per second, all compressed in an H.264 format on SD cards. I'll explain in just a minute why it's important that you maintain your particular aspect ratio when you're scaling down your resolution. Let's get started. Step 1. Open up Adobe Media Encoder. While this takes way too long to open, let me explain that a proxy preset is made up of two parts. Part 1, the encoding settings, and Part 2, the ingest settings. Now the encoding settings are the brains and the muscle of the operation. That's how the preset knows how to actually do the job. The ingest settings are basically just the surface level labels of everything. That's how the proxy preset knows what to do and where to do it. So step 2, let's create the preset. Find your preset browser window and click on this Create New Preset Plus button. I always start with the encoding settings first, so select Create Encoding Preset, and that window is going to pop up. Start by naming your encoding preset. I like to include the word encoding in the name so that I don't get all the presets confused later. So we'll just call this one New Test Encoding. Next, select the format that you want to use. I personally always use QuickTime because it's always worked for me no matter what camera I used or what OS I'm editing on. For those of you who care, I edit on a custom PC that I built as well as a very old MacBook Air. Slight hiccup. If the video codec dropdown is grayed out, just go back up to the format and select something different for a second, then select QuickTime again. Next, I go down here and I select the video codec that I want to use. The video codec I use is GoPro Cineform. Now the next thing I do is I drag the quality setting all the way down to 1. Then I'll put an input width and height that matches my original video's aspect ratio. It's important to maintain your particular aspect ratio when you're scaling down your resolution, because when you're editing in a 1080 or a 4K sequence and the proxy footage is 16:10 instead of 16:9, then it'll look squished, or you'll have black bars on the sides or on the top and bottom of your video. And while I don't mind the proxy footage being crappy quality, and it appearing all pixelated, I can't stand it when it's not the right aspect ratio. If you need help calculating your scale, go to this website and input your resolution. It'll spit out a list of downscaling options. I like to use 1024 by 1576 because it's smaller and it matches my 16:9 requirement. Next, I double check that the frame rate, field order, and pixel aspect are all set to match the source footage. And I leave everything else as is. Hit OK, and now you can see the new encoding preset that you just made in the browser window. Now it's time to create the ingest preset. Click the plus button again and click on Create Ingest Preset. That window is going to open, and go ahead and name it. This time I'll put ingest in the name somewhere. And now there's only 4 more things left to do. Check the transcode files to destination box if it isn't already checked, and choose a destination. I like to have a folder set aside for proxies. Choose the format that we used for encoding, which was QuickTime, and select the encoding preset that you just made from that next drop-down menu. The very last thing I set up is renaming the proxy files. Check the Rename Files box, hit this far right arrow and choose New Preset. First, I want the file name, and second, I want some custom text, and I want my custom text to be _proxy. I double check this sample text right here to make sure it looks the way I want it and looks okay. I hit Save to save the renaming preset, and I name the preset, and then I hit Save. Finally, let's hit OK, and now you can see the new ingest preset in the browser window as well. The last thing that we need to do is export the new presets so that Premiere can find them. I actually go ahead and make a preset folder inside of my proxies folder. And once that's done, open up Premiere, start a project, and select your new ingest preset for your proxies. And that, my friends, is how you do that. Okay, so what's the super secret to butter editing in Premiere without having to make proxies?
Wait, what happens when I read it?
There is no secret ingredient. You just need to record externally in some uncompressed format. Skadoosh. So this is what I use. It's an Adamus Ninja 2. It's super old. It goes for like a couple $100 nowadays, but it outputs 10-bit 422 from any camera that can talk via HDMI. What I'll do, I'll put a link down below for more specs for you guys. That was a lot of information. Guys, just go back and rewatch it. I'm sure everything's there that you need. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you care about learning, and I'll see you next Saturday.